And welcome to JJ Wins in Holiday City. How did we get from late August here to the middle of April and our final show of 2021-22? We are so excited to wrap up. Josh and Jody, do you realize I was thinking about this today? Our people that host us, this is the end of our 7th year doing this. How did that? Yeah, I know. How in the world did this happen? Things run a lot smoother when it's a solo act, too, I think. I say that because Bummer's not sitting next to me, and he's not listening, so I can get away with it. Got a great show here tonight to wrap up the year. Sports Weekly presented by Terry Hendricks Ford, JJ Wins in Holiday City, Amerimaid Realty, the main stops of Northwest Ohio, and the Bryan Parks and Recreation Department. Later on in the program, Defiance head baseball coach Tom Held will be with us, and we start things tonight with North Central head baseball coach Eric Smeltzer. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Good. How are you?
First time on. Wednesdays have been tough spots for you through the years. We were glad to able to kind of wrangle you on here this year.
Glad to be here. It's glad to be a part of it.
13th year. You said if 2020 had happened, this would be your 14th year. So technically, I guess, your 14th season.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about Eric Smeltzer. People that don't know you a little bit, I guess the best way to describe you, you're as North Central as they come.
Yep. Born and raised. Haven't lived in Pioneer my whole life, but yeah, went to school there. Graduated in 1999. Played baseball, basketball, golf all 4 years of high school. Went on to college, got a degree in accounting, and worked for a CPA firm for a while, and had a friend of mine, say, "Hey, the treasurer's job's going to open up at North Central. You ought to think about applying." And at the time, it wasn't something I thought, I don't have any experience with it, but so I applied, got the job, and here I am, 16 years later, and coaching baseball and loving it.
As young men and women, sometimes we have plans on what the future looks like, and then those plans look a little different as we move along. What's it been like for you as the head baseball coach at your alma mater?
It's been fantastic. I've loved it. I've had, a great experience with many different kids over the years, and it's something I wouldn't trade. I really wouldn't want to go anywhere else and coach anywhere else. It's nice being at the school that you're born and raised in, and going back and just being able to give back to something that was so important to me.
There has to be something said for familiarity. I mean, you've been there so long, families, and for the most part, Pioneer is one of those communities that has recurrent families, so you know that, and you know what you're getting into, you know what to expect from that family base.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I know we got some people sitting here that I played sports with in high school, and now we're all having our own kids, and everybody's coming back through the system together, and it's it's very familiar. Knowing them very well, it makes things, just makes them flow a little bit better and easier to get along, I think.
Let's talk about where you're at this year. Terrific start to this season. Before we dive into the year, really good year last year, 14-11, 9-3 in the BBC, and that, of course, is a double round, and that's changed this year. We'll get into that in just a minute. But you, as a 5 seed, you won a sectional championship last year and were able to get to the district. So a really good springboard for you from last year into the offseason and this year.
Yeah, and it was a great end of our season last year. I mean, besides losing to Antwerp there in the districts, but that was a fantastic game. I just think it gave those kids motivation going into this summer, too. Just the ending we had to the season, finishing their second place behind Montpelier in the BBC, having that nice tournament run, losing to a quality Antwerp team. It just pushed them towards the summer. We had a good summer, and, we're here now in the spring, starting off 5-0, and things are going great.
Great start with that 5-0 beginning, 2-0 in the conference, and you, like everybody else, have lost some games here and there because of Mother Nature. Just 3 seniors, so still a very relatively young baseball team this year.
Yeah, 3 seniors. They're very important seniors. The two of them are pitchers, lefties on the mound. I mean, they're huge for us. But we also have those young guys that are, learning from the older guys as well. Sam Wheeler, the other senior that I didn't mention, he's the one that's not a pitcher, but he's batting leadoff for us and doing a great job playing second base. So they lead by their play on the field, their attitude, everything they do on a day-to-day basis is great. They've got great leadership, and it's I think something that these younger guys are going to continue and carry on even after these guys are gone at the end of the year.
You've had a few of these kids that are in the program that had some success this past winter playing basketball. Anytime you can grab success from other sports, that's huge. I mean, you can't replace success.
Yeah, I think there's 3 of them, I think, on the team that have a chance to win 3 BBC titles this year. So some of them won BBC title in golf, they won the basketball, and so now they've got a chance to win in baseball as well. So I know that's in the back of their minds, and they've talked about it a little bit, that it'd be great to be able to look up in the gym at our championship banners and see a year up there for every one of the sports that they played in. So, there's all kinds of motivation going on right now, and it's good for us.
Eric, some juniors, but an extremely, I didn't realize this till I was looking at your roster, very sophomore-dominated lineup overall and roster.
Sophomore class is a very large athletic class. A lot of good talent there. I'm trying to think around right now how many of them are actually starting. I bet it's at least 5 of the 9 probably that are starting positions. We've started 4 guys on the mound, the 2 seniors, 2 sophomores. So again, there's that depth there in that sophomore class, and it's, they work hard. They want it, and they want to win, so it's good to have them.
You look at, I was looking at your numbers. For those that don't know, we're supposed to do North Central and Eden tomorrow in baseball, and an early season kind of measuring stick for you guys, and that game takes on, like BBC games, take on even more of a larger role now since you're only playing each other once in league play. But I looked at your pitching staff. You mentioned 2 of your seniors are back. Those are your top 2 arms, but overall, I think it was 5 kids have thrown. You haven't given up an earned run all season.
No, we've had 4 kids throw so far, the 2 seniors, the 2 sophomores. They've each started 1 game, and I think only one of those games they didn't throw the complete game. But yeah, we have not only not given up an earned run, we haven't given up a run yet. So we haven't really been tested, in that aspect. But, Montpelier was a good game, 2-0. But, defensively and pitching right now, it's a great way to start the season. 1 error in 5 games and haven't given up a run. So, we continue to do that. We're going to hit the baseball, and we're going to win a lot of games.
So you mentioned pitching and defense, which a lot of times, especially in these cold weather scenarios that we have in Northwest Ohio, tend to get ahead of the offense. Do you feel like the offense is coming around?
Yeah, definitely. Early on we kind of got a slow start in our first game of the year against Hilltop. We scored like 12 runs, I think, in the 4th inning. We just couldn't put any hits together. And when that happened and that came around, from there on I've kind of seen, we started to hit the ball. Montpelier 2-0. We saw some good pitching in that game, though, so that was a good defensive pitching game there. But these last 3-4 games, we've hit the ball really well. So I'm excited for tomorrow's game.
Yeah, and is this a team that is capable of being a really good hitting team?
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. We've got good leadership at the top. Those 3 seniors are batting 1, 3, and 4. So, their leadership. Good speed on the base paths, too, which is important. That, we put a lot of pressure on the opposing pitcher and catcher and their defense with different things we do, stealing bases, hit and run, putting bunts down, so we have the potential to score a lot of runs in every game.
Okay. Let's talk about the conference this season. Tell me a little bit about the BBC. You've played 2, and are, as we mentioned, off to the 2-0 start. In fact, coming into the next round of games, you, Eden, and Holgate are the only 2-0 teams in the BBC right now.
Yeah, coming into it, I definitely would have. I expected Montpelier to be right there again. They've been solid the last few years. I knew Eden had most of their roster back. They competed last year. Haven't really seen much out of Holgate. First year that we've had them in our league, so I have seen some scores, and they've competed with some teams. So I just feel right now that where we're at, the way we're playing defense, getting great pitching, we're hitting the baseball. I think we're going to compete in every game and give ourselves a chance to win every game. So I fully expect us to be right there, giving ourselves a chance to win the league at the end of the year.
Where do you stand? I've had, not every BBC coach, but quite a few of them have been up here, baseball and softball. Where do you stand on dropping a conference game and now it's one and done and you're just playing the single round?
It's funny you ask. We were just talking about that tonight. I don't know whether it was earlier. I think it was earlier today, maybe at lunchtime we were talking about that I kind of miss that. There are games when your pitcher just doesn't have it. For some reason, he's a little bit off, or you have those games where the bats just aren't there. And so I'm going to miss having that second round of games that you have that chance to get back at that team, maybe where you didn't play your best game. But, it is the way it is, and we got to go out every game and have our best every game and win.
Eric, are you going, and I don't know if you could do it right now because athletic schedules are made so far in advance, but now with that extra game, you don't have to play. And baseball's not one of those that, like football, basketball, where you depend on a gate. So if you schedule somebody that's close a second time, right, ADs love it because it's a good gate. That doesn't happen in spring sports. So is this a good opportunity now for North Central to look bigger and better in terms of scheduling in lieu of a second conference game?
Yeah, I mean, we've done that already last year and this year. We've got Paulding on the schedule, who they were strong last year. I expect them to be strong again. So, we are looking at those, teams that are in Division II, Division III, giving us a chance to look at some of them and play. And, it's always good to play some competition that is solid and that's going to make your team better by, giving you that opportunity to see where you're at, seeing what kind of things we need to work on. And so, yeah, I definitely think that opens up those opportunities for us to play some tougher teams that maybe we wouldn't have seen if we had to play everybody twice in the league.
And get you ready for May baseball, late May baseball.
Absolutely. Get ready for that deep tournament run where you get into the districts and regionals, you're going to see some solid pitching, and you're going to have to play well to win those games. So it's a great opportunity.
What are baseball numbers like at North Central? Not just, I guess, talk high school first, but then also on through the youth system. You have a lot of kids generally playing baseball in Pioneer?
It is definitely growing. We have struggled here in the last 5 years with numbers at the high school level. We've got 20 this year, so we're not able to play JV varsity on the same day because of that. But we hope, I know our Pony League team, they've got enough guys that they're going to be breaking down into 2 teams this summer, which we haven't had that in a long time. I'm pretty sure every other age group has at least 2 teams as well, on down through the rec program. So, we keep having those kind of numbers, and we're able to start playing more JV games, playing them on the same day. It's only going to continue to help our program get better with everybody having a lot of time to play those games because, right now we haven't played a JV game yet. We've lost 2 or 3 of those, and so some of those guys have been practicing for a month and a half and haven't really seen any game action. So, it can get discouraging for those kids, but we try to, keep them ready to play, and we'll get to it. But, yeah, there's numbers definitely coming.
And you have to be creative with that, I'm sure. Like, if you have that, I know Wednesday's kind of a taboo subject on if you can play or can't play on Wednesday. But if you get those opponents where they're close enough, you start at 4 o'clock, there's a chance to sneak a JV game in. And I'm assuming you do this with doubleheaders as well, maybe that second game where you play a lot of those JV kids?
We've had a few games that we've done the Wednesday night thing. We play Hilltop, Montpelier, Eden that are close here, and, within a half an hour of each other. We'll start those at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday and get those games in. So that's a great opportunity. We do have one of our doubleheaders that we lost is a varsity JV doubleheader, which is good. Everybody's going to get to play. I've always had the attitude that it's a varsity doubleheader scheduled, so we're going to win 2 varsity baseball games. So, people can look at that differently. We have the opportunity to get guys in that second game. We do so, but, at the same time, I really enjoy having those Wednesdays where we can get those games in, starting them a little bit earlier, those closer teams, playing some more games. But, as long as our numbers continue to grow next year, we'll have some JV and varsity games on the same day, and it won't be a problem anymore.
What's your district look like this year? I mean, you mentioned Antwerp. We know what they're capable of with Luke Krause at the top of the rotation there, the BG2B product. So Antwerp, who else is pretty solid in this Division IV district?
Oh.
Outside, I guess, maybe of the BBC.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Outside of the BBC, I don't know that I would put anybody else up there in our district besides those BBC teams that I know really well right now. Outside of Antwerp, again, they got Krause there at the top of their lineup. He's solid. But, Montpelier, Eden, I think they're going to be competitive all year long. I think they've got some pieces there as well that, give them a few more games, under their belt before they get to May, and they're going to be ready to play and compete as well. So I think those are the teams to beat in our district.
Weather permitting, we mentioned we're going to do the game tomorrow at Eden. If we can squeeze that one in, then Paulding on Friday in a home game, and then a home doubleheader with Hudson, Michigan, right?
Yes,
Saturday.
that is correct.
Okay. And now you want to start grabbing some momentum now and getting games in. That's the hope now as you get a little deeper into April.
Yeah, and, the weather doesn't look great this weekend again, but it's been bad so far. Cold, rain, 45 degrees is going to feel great on Saturday if it's 45 degrees. So we're going to get out there and play 2 games. Hudson always brings a solid team, whether we go there or they come here. They always have a very solid team. It gives us, good competitive games. So I'm looking forward to, going over to Eden and hopefully taking care of business tomorrow night, playing like we have been, get a win there. And then, it'd be good to see those other pitchers get in there too on Friday and Saturday and see if we can continue this thing going in those non-league games that are going to be very competitive.
Should be fun. We hope we get that one in tomorrow at 5 o'clock. By the way, I already planted the seed on some turf at North Central. We'll see if that comes to fruition.
That would be fantastic.
That would be fantastic. I planted that seed. Tom Helt's here as a consultant for that, and
Yeah,
he can
Tom can help me out.
Yeah, so Turf to Pioneer. Let's get that circulating on social media.
Sounds fantastic.
Let's take a quick break. Eric, thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, North Central and Eden. North Central head baseball coach Eric Smeltzer. We'll talk Defiance baseball next with the aforementioned Tom Held when we come back.
The Bryan Parks and Recreation Department would like to wish the Bryan Golden Bears good luck in tonight's game. The Bryan Parks and Rec offers a wide variety of classes for you during the entire year and an array of sporting events all year long. Check out what the Bryan Parks and Recreations Department has going on at bryanparksandrec.com or like them on Facebook. The Bryan Parks and Rec hopes to see you in one of the many parks that Bryan has to offer and enjoy the facilities. Questions about the classes or rental of one of their facilities, call 633-6030.
I want to talk to you for the next 30 seconds about the place to go for your next vehicle. Terry Hendricks Ford on Stryker Street in Archibald. Whether it's a new vehicle for purchase, a lease vehicle, or perhaps a pre-owned vehicle, Terry Hendricks Ford on Stryker Street in Archibald is the place to turn. They also have this fantastic service department as well. Service after the sale. Terry Hendricks Ford, serving all of your vehicle needs in Northwest Ohio. Go to terryhendricksford.com. Are you interested in finding out more information about the Williams County Commissioner candidates in the May 3rd Republican primary? Well, if you are, Thursday, April 21st at 7 p.m., JJ Wins in Holiday City is the place to be. Or be listening to B-Rock 100.9. It's a Meet the Candidates night happening on Thursday, April 21st. We'll ask questions of Williams County Commissioner candidates Steve Towns, Bart Westfall, Deb Holbrook Beavers, and Beth Votaw. They'll be on hand for the live event that you can hear on B-Rock 100.9. Our Meet the Candidates night is being brought to you by D&M Tire and Service Center, Jay's Heating and Cooling, Wilson Auction and Realty, Napa Auto Parts, the Bryan Chamber of Commerce, and Whelan's Auto Repair. Be listening Thursday, April 21st on air or online, or be a part of our live audience. Meet the Candidates night at JJ Wins in Holiday City, April 21st at 7 p.m.
It's Thirsty Thursday at all the main stops in Northwest Ohio. What does that mean? It means that every Thursday, all day long, you will get any size fountain drink or any size coffee for only 79 cents. All day long, every Thursday, any size fountain drink, any size coffee or cappuccino. Stop in to your main stop and see everything they have to offer every day. Main stops, always there when you need us.
If you're looking for a country home in the West Unity School District, then call Misty King of Amerimaid Realty and ask her about her new listing on County Road R, featuring 3 bedrooms, almost 1,300 square feet of living space, 2 heating options, 2 acres of land, and a 32 by 48 pole barn. This one is affordably priced at only $140,000. If you want more details, call Misty King at 419-633-4997 or check out AmeramaidHomes.com. Misty King of Amerimaid Realty, your hometown real estate pro. Welcome back out here to JJ Wins in Holiday City. Tom Held, our next guest from Defiance. You are like, this is probably maybe the first time I'm going to use a Bill Murray comparison. You don't even know where I'm going with this, do you?
This ought to be good. This ought to be good.
So David Letterman had Bill Murray on his first show on NBC, first show on CBS last year. You have been my last show guest all 7 years of this show. How about that?
That's fantastic.
So whenever I end this,
That means I'm the last guy that says yes, probably.
that's
right?
probably. I have a lot of doors slammed in my face until Tom Held says yes. I really do. So, I probably could come up with another Bill Murray comparison to you if I thought long enough about it. How are you?
Great to be here, Andy. Thanks
And you
again for everything you
even
did.
get 2 appearances this year. In the fall, we talked Bryan baseball and your 30th anniversary, and that was a great show with Rick Weaver, your hitting coach and assistant coach, and Jason Brown came over. Now we get to talk Defiance baseball.
Yeah, I'm so old. I said, hey, when was the last time I was over? It seemed like it was a panel, and he goes, that was just this past fall.
It was
I thought
fall.
it was like 5 years ago.
Wow. I know I'm forgettable, but it was this season. So, great start for your kids this year at 7-0. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a good group, really good group, a group that they like to play. They're all good friends. They hang out. They come from great families. First time trip to Florida this year. We've never done this. I've been doing this, I don't know, 35, 36 years, and had a parent 3-4 years ago, hey, why don't you just go to like the Columbus and Cincinnati on spring break? And I go, that's as far as south I can get. That's all we can afford. I said, but if you have more money, we can go further south. I said, if you want to raise the money, and the parents raised like $30,000, and the kids got to go to Florida this year. But the funny part about it is the parents that raised it, the trip got canceled the last 2 years because of COVID, so they're all long and gone. So these guys all got a free trip to Florida. So that's what COVID does to you, I guess. But it's been a great start, and just a good group of good kids.
And that's something you just said. Maybe we shouldn't take for granted. A group of kids that like to compete and like to do it together and be around each other. I mean, you've been around this game enough and any sport enough to know you can be successful and not be best friends. But boy, it makes it much more fun and rewarding, doesn't it?
Yeah, they make me laugh every day, and that's why I do this. If it wasn't fun, I definitely wouldn't be doing it. I look forward to going. I'm the old grandpa now, so they like to mess with me, and I take it a lot better than I used to when I was young. But I have a blast every day, and it's going to be this senior class is really special, and they, once again, and not all of them start. We have 8 of them, and given day 4, maybe start, maybe 5, but they're great teammates, and they just like being around the game.
What does this group do pretty well? I mean, through 7 games, it's still relatively small sample size. What do they do well? What do you like about this group on the field?
Well, this group is the most pitching depth we've ever had. And people say, well, that's crazy, because we've had, pitching's probably been our main thing in Defiance over the years. And I'm not saying we have the 1-2 on the mound that we've had some years, but we are 7 deep. And they're not all going to get a pitch. We've pitched 6 of them so far. You could probably say 8 deep, actually. But the one pitcher we converted to a catcher, so he probably won't catch. But it's definitely the pitching depth. The 2022 class will be the thing. Now, I don't know if that's going to translate into tournament wins or not. This would be the season to play 162 games, I can tell you that, with the pitching depth we have. So you have 27 games, you really only need 3 or 4. But it's great to have that luxury in case of injuries. We had a big injury to our number 1.
Where do we stand?
Former Montpelier locomotive, Jaden Jurger, and he's just coming back. And
where do we stand there? How is he doing?
He broke January 12th. I was leaving for a clinic, and he's a workout fiend. The kid works his butt off all the time, and he wanted to get a workout in, and he was working on dumbbells, and instead of laying the dumbbell on the ground, lay it down, he laid it vertically, set it up, and it fell and broke his middle finger on his throwing hand. And it literally, he could do a lot of things with that, but when it came to pitching, the pressure of that middle finger caused a lot of pain. And so it took him 8 weeks, 8-9 weeks, and he was still throwing like a softball. It would help him. But he was still training with the bands and lifting and everything. And then we brought him back. He threw an inning against Napoleon the second Saturday of the year. And he was geared up, and then he just wasn't used to it. He only threw an inning, but he threw a while in the pen getting warmed up. He wanted to make sure he was good and loose. It was a cold day. And then his shoulder was hurting him. Nothing serious, just wasn't used to throwing. And so now he's back. He's been throwing every day. He's getting a couple pens in, and he'll be in relief tomorrow against Van Wert in a league game, and if he doesn't pitch tomorrow, he'll definitely get on the mound Saturday, and obviously he'll be ready within the next couple of weeks, full go, and then for sure tournament time, he'll be our guy on the mound in tournament time.
Okay. So, and that's all great news to hear, because especially a kid that's in his senior year and a good kid that works his tail off and has worked his tail off.
In spite of his dad.
When you said Montpelier's on, I was going to say the legendary Ray Jurger, but that would be just in Ray's mind. So in addition to the great pitching depth, I know another thing that you talked preseason that you like, good overall team speed. And that can mean a lot of different things as a weapon. Not just, people think base paths, but there's more to just the speed and stealing bases.
Yeah, if you can steal first, you really got it made. That's always the problem, usually stealing first. But we can run well. We always try to run, but we actually have gifted runners with some speed this year. And I think in 7 games we have 43 stolen bases. So last night we faced a really good catcher and a pitcher who really kept us close, and they limited us, and the right guys probably weren't on base the whole time. But team speed is definitely something we do. We always play small ball. You really have to nowadays. We've always done that, but the bats are not very good. We don't have those wound-type baseballs like they have at the big league level and at the college level where they jump off. The bats are the same in college, but the balls are totally different. You don't wait for a 3-run homer in high school baseball. That's for sure. I think in the last 6 years, we've averaged maybe 2 home runs a year. We did have 2 last night in the game.
You're already at your average?
Yeah, we're already at our average. So that's unheard of. And just to give you an idea, in 1999, bats are -5 drop. So if you have a 34-inch bat, it'd be a 29-ounce weight. 32 would be 27. Now it's -3, and now they've also shortened the sweet spot. But in 99, we hit 44 home runs that year. And we would average 25 home runs until they changed the bats in about maybe 11 or 12 it was. And ever since then, the home run game is gone in high school, which is sad because I don't really like the big league game because that's all it is home runs and strikeouts. Outside of the maybe Quan from the Indians is going to change the game a little bit. I love watching that kid play. But so it's a game that you got to play small ball. You got to bunt, you got to run, and you got to play defense and pitching, just like Eric's getting in North Central. That's why there's 5-0. And you get good pitching, you get good defense, you got a chance to win.
You mentioned, so let's talk hitting a little bit because this is something that you wanted a little more consistency out of. You had, forget power, just hitting consistency.
Yep.
Are you seeing some improvement there, some movement there?
Yeah, we have some very capable hitters. Our top order is really good. Actually, we feel pretty confident all the way down the order. We face a lot of good pitching, so that's a neutralizer, obviously. But we're very comfortable with our hitting. We actually have some pop in the bats, not literally the bats, but we have some guys that have some power. But we play on a big field. We're fortunate enough to have a turf field, and we made it really big so it could be rented out to colleges. So it really makes it difficult when it's 325 down the line and 360 in the gap and 380 in center. There's very few people who hit the ball, high school guys that can hit the ball that far. So unless the wind's blowing out on a given day. So you have big gaps. So team speed's really important.
There you go.
Yeah, when your field's big, you better have speed in the outfield because there's going to be a lot of triples otherwise.
Where are you best defensively right now?
Our infield is actually I'm pretty happy all the way across the board, but our infield's really good. We have 4 or 5 really good infielders. Obviously, one on a given day is not going to play, not going to start anyways. But defensively in the infield, we are really good. We got a bunch of basketball guys that play infield, and basketball guys are athletes, and they got great hand-eye coordination. Not always is a basketball player a great hitter, but they're always good defensively. And we have four starters off the basketball team on the baseball team, which really helps us.
WBL, Wapak, Bath, and you off to the 2-0 start. I know Salinas 2-1, Van Wert and Shawnee 1-1. I mean, there's still a long way to go. What overall? What are the strengths of the league this year? I mean, it's always good, so I don't even need to ask you that. But what are the strengths of the league this year?
The league the last couple of years, well, it's been really good. The pitching's been incredible. It's still pretty good, but I think 2 years ago, the COVID year was really going to be strong. I think there were 4 or 5 guys, pitchers going out of our league D1 that year, and then didn't get to have the year. And I really felt horrible for Elida because it's the best team they've had in a long time, and they lost their senior, kind of like Brian. In 2020, had that great senior class. But I would say year in and year out, pitching's big in the WBL. Bath has an Albright kid who's going to Ohio State. He's committed there. Walpock's got 2 guys. One will be he's a junior. He'll be a D1 pitcher. We have Jaden Jurgens going to OU. Pitching's always usually probably the strength in the WBL. And I would say probably the same this year.
Okay. One thing I wanted to make sure I asked you about, because I think this is a really cool thing, and it's going on at a lot of different facilities. I think North Central even has one. We're doing veterans games this year. What's the genesis behind this? What are they? What do they look like on game days? Tell us a little bit about these veterans games.
Well, I'll try to make the story short, but a guy by the name of Dave Rohrbaugh from Napoleon, longtime baseball guy, umpire, coached in the youth leagues over there years ago for years, and big baseball guy. And I think it was about 2 years ago, it was about COVID year, he contacted me and said, hey, can you help me get some signed autographed baseball cards from some of our area big leaguers that played in the big leagues? And I go, yeah. Actually, I said, I'm in a process right now of getting an autographed baseball from every major leaguer in our 6-county area. And the trivia question, Andy, I give it to you. How many major leaguers have there been that have come out of the 6-county area?
6 counties that have made it.
And really only 5 of the 6 have one. That's the second part of the trivia question. There's only 1 county that's in our 4-county area that has never had a major league player. You know who that is?
In our 4 or 6 counties?
4. In our 4, well, it'd be both. But in Williams, Defiance, Fulton, and Henry, only one of those counties has not had a big leaguer.
Fulton?
Fulton County. Believe it or not, you would never think that.
Well,
Fulton County is known for sport.
I just got it.
Yeah,
so
you did.
you
win. You win, but you didn't get the first one. How many major leaguers in the?
Oh, major league or played professionally? Major league.
Major league. 7's an answer out here.
16.
19. 19 guys out of our 6 county. Yeah, just 1 out of Putnam County. Actually, 2 out of Putnam County. 1 is deceased. So I have 8. The 18 of the 19 guys have all signed. I got Ned Garver before he passed. So talking about the veterans game, let me go back a little quickly. I got ahead of myself. So Dave Arbaugh decides he's going to run a fundraiser for the Veterans Home in Northwest Ohio. There's only 1 Veterans Home in Northwest Ohio. It's in Sandusky, Ohio. And he wanted to raise money through a baseball fundraiser of former major leaguers. And he thought there were only like 7 or 8. He goes, "Kate, can you help me let 4 or 5 of these guys go? You know, there's like 19. He goes, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, but we can do it." And through the whole process, we've gotten there. Well, Dave passed away last year. So he never got to see this through because it got canceled because of COVID. So we weren't able to have we had to stop the fundraiser because we couldn't have, there weren't games in COVID year. And then the whole thing went down and then he passed. So Greg Instrument, longtime coach at Patrick Henry and Defiance, and Denny Meyer from Patrick Henry have stepped up and taken over for Dave. So we have veterans games. Every school in the 6 county area is having a veterans game. And you can buy tickets and the prizes are, we have a guy made a case with all 19 guys autographed baseballs, and even the 2 deceased, they have autographed balls from them. Larry Cox from Ottawa, and then Ned Garver. It's all in one case. That's a heck of a prize. So they're $5 a ticket. You can get them at any of the high school teams in our area. All have the tickets. Then there's you also will get a ball. Another separate prize is a baseball with all 19 guys on a ball. So I have a dozen baseballs with all 19 major leaguers on a ball. So that'll also be a separate prize, which is a tremendous. There's some baseball historians out there that would give anything for this. And then we have some Tigers tickets, prizes, Indians 4 tickets to Indians, Mud Hens, Tin Caps.
Guardians.
And Guardians.
I know.
My fault.
We're still all getting used to it. Yeah.
Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
The drawing will be in July.
Okay.
At a River Bandit game.
And I'm sure some veterans activities on the day of the game honoring.
Yes, so everybody's some teams are doing a little bigger deal for veterans or honoring the veterans on each of those games. And then the money will all go to we have 4 residents in our 6 county area that are at the Sandusky home. And all that money will go to those families. And they've already, I know there's some veterans that have already started. We've already raised, I don't know. This just started. Well, it's kind of gone, but the tickets just got out. I think they've already had donors. We're up to 4,000 or 5,000 already. We hope to get more than that and give this to. So it's a great fundraiser, and really not only in honor of our veterans, but also Dave Rohrbaugh, who started this.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's great stuff. So we hope that it gets well attended. There's a list. Is there a list of who has what game and when they have them somewhere?
Yes, there is a list, and I can get that out for you for the radio, and Dave Kleck, and then every coach has a list of all the games.
Yours is...
The Crescent News has, I don't know if they posted it. We had one, ours is going to be May 4th.
May 4th, yep.
Yep, May 4th.
Okay. Schedule-wise, that's another interesting thing. You already play everybody really good in and around the area, but I noticed this year, second ever meeting, you're playing Talmadge, right?
Yeah.
And the last time was, I know, not a great Defiance memory, but it was 20 years ago, a loss in the state semis back in 2002. But That's something that you've always believed, whether you were at Bryan or Defiance or wherever. Play the best to be the best and get better as the year goes on.
Yeah, we're hosting 2 prep baseball report weekends. So this Saturday, there'll be 8 teams coming in from all over the state to play. And then Saturday, April 30th, there'll be 8 more teams coming in. For example, I can't think of them right now, but this Saturday we will be playing Olentangy Berlin. Saturday at 12:15.
Is that Rick Weaver's brother?
Yes,
there.
Rick Weaver's brother's the head coach at Olentangy. Mike Weaver,
yep.
And then the game following us will be Mason out of Cincinnati, which is ranked number 3 in Division I in the state of Ohio, versus Walsh Jesuit, who's ranked number 1 in Division I. So if you want to come out and watch good high school baseball, and then the 4th game is Hamilton-Baden, who's ranked number 1 in Division II, versus Marlington out on the east side of the state. Will be playing in the 4th game. And right now, I can't even think who's playing the first game. But 4 really good games this weekend.
Defiance, by the way, number 2 behind Mason, right? Mason in the polls.
Baden. Yep.
Hamilton-Baden in the polls. You mentioned playing professionally. I wanted to get an update on a couple of Defiance kids, and we're going to circle back to not a Defiance kid, but you had a great Art Warren story who just got his first career save. He's a Napoleon grad, pitching for the Reds. But Defiance kids that are pitching professionally in some capacity, who are they? Where are they now, Tom?
Yeah, so we have Shay Murray, and that's a great story for another day probably, but Shay's in the Pirates organization, and he's going to be reporting to AAA. Which he's still staying back in extended spring training, still working on his breaking ball, but he's supposed to report to AAA in Indianapolis soon. And then Shea Smitty's recovering from Tommy John, and he's in the Tampa Bay organization as well. So he hopes to be back in July or August.
By the way, great organization to be involved with if you're a pitcher. I said as soon as Matt Whistler went there, those are guys that know what they're doing, and they fix stuff and make adjustments like no other.
Yeah, and Matt Whistler,
they're amazing.
Yeah, Matt Whistler attests to that because he's played in 6 or 7 organizations, and he said Tampa's the best.
I believe it. And I mean, he's nothing but slider now.
Yep.
Slider. That's his pitch. Art Warren. What's your Art Warren story?
Art Warren, and what people don't realize, and this is the crazy thing about baseball. So if there was a basketball game or a football game, and you got 2 big-time guys going against each other, 2 quarterbacks that are going to go Division I, maybe a chance to play pro ball, there's going to be a lot of people go watch. Same thing with a basketball game. You got 2 big-time players. There's going to be a lot. Well, baseball, it happens all the time in Northwest Ohio. A lot of big-time players have gone to play, but nobody really knows. But Art Warren faced Matt Whistler twice in 2011. So you got 2 big leaguers, one from Bryan and one from Napoleon, that faced each other twice. Here's your 3rd trivia question. Who won those games?
Napoleon.
They did. Napoleon. Art beat Matt twice. I think Matt's probably only 2 losses he may have had in his high school career.
So you know why I know. They were on the show together about season 4 or 5, and they beat you to the story.
They did.
So I just have that still in my head.
Good job. Good job. But so that's not Art Warren's story. So Art Warren was a really good high school pitcher. Went on to pitch at University of Cincinnati. And we took the team down. We had 2 kids at Louisville at the time, Dace Keim and Anthony Kitson. Speaking of Pioneer, North Central. Thank you, Kistons and North Central, for letting us have him for 3 years. We really benefited from that. Yeah. I know how much you guys would have benefited from having him too. And we didn't make him because he was a great player way before he came to Defiance. But Art. We get back from the game, and Art's playing for Cincinnati. He didn't get in the game. And I get back home, and he calls me and says, "Hey, Coach, I'm not getting any better here. I need a transfer." And he goes, "I came in here throwing 88 to 90, now I'm throwing 82 mile an hour." I go, "That's not good." He goes, we don't train how I'm used to training. We don't long toss. I go, "Well, you probably need to go talk to the coaches. And they don't care what you do extra. You have to do what they want done, but you need to maybe do some things on your own to train your arm the way you've always trained it." And I go, "And then if things don't work out, we'll I'll help you look for a place to transfer. The next day I'm at school, and Rick Weaver, my assistant, comes to me and says, hey, you need to call JD. Well, JD's the pitching coach at Cincinnati. I go, why? He goes, Art Warren just quit. And he said you told him to quit. I go, oh, my goodness gracious. How that got turned around. I go, and I was not very happy. So I called Art, and I said, Art, what is going on? And he goes, yeah, I got to get out of here. And I go, that wasn't our discussion. Did you go talk to the coaches? And he goes, no, I kind of made up my mind. Well, I said, well, somehow my name got involved in this. And he goes, well, it really wasn't supposed to be that way. And I go, well, I think you should probably, I talked to the pitching coach, and I said, would you take Art back? Because it was like a spur-of-the-moment thing. And he goes, well, I will, but I don't know if the head coach will. He goes, and the pitching coach said, we're leaving for Boston College in an hour. So I tell Art, you probably need to get over there real quick and don't burn a bridge. And he chose not to. But the story is he knew what he needed to do. He needed to, you can talk about transfer portal. Okay, so we're not all big fans of this transfer portal. I'm not a big fan, but I also understand from the player's standpoint, at times, you sometimes have to look out for yourself. And Art was mature enough to know he was not going to get any better, and he had dreams and he had goals. And he came back, and I remember he came back that summer, and he'd come over and throw with us. He ended up going to Ashland University,
Yep.
Division II. But he knew he was going to get on the field. And guess what? They let him train the way he trains. And they trained. They long tossed and did all the stuff to what makes him better. And before you know it, he's back throwing 93, 94, and then he ends up getting drafted, and now he's in the big leagues. But if he doesn't make that choice, that tough decision, it may not happen. And you could say, and we could talk about transfer portal, we can say the same thing about Dalen Miley. Dalen Miley, who's from Bryan, started off at Tiffin, and I remember getting a call from him wanting to transfer, and he ended up transferring to Bellarmine down in Louisville, and he wasn't pitching at Tiffin. He had a position guy because he's a pretty good position guy, and he wanted to pitch more and get better. And he transfers down to Bellarmine, and guess what? He's playing pro ball right now and off to a great start in single A. So we can judge that transfer portal, but coaches come and go all the time. When there's more money, and sometimes the players get judged a lot when they want to leave and not commit. So it's tough. I'm not a big fan of it, but if a kid really knows what they need to do and to get better, and those two guys did.
Yeah, and I think that's a great. That's what I've said about that transfer portal too. Has been the same thing. You can judge it as it's basically free agency, but it also helps kids get out of tough situations like that they know is a bad situation for them.
Absolutely, and we know and the thing is, when they do that transfer portal, there's also a chance. There's a lot of them out there that transfer and never get on the field or get on the court again because he made a bad choice transferring. So we usually don't hear those stories.
See, I'm glad you led into that because my next question is really going to feed this to you now, Tom. I mean, you've been doing this a million years. You get to be commissioner of high school baseball for a day. What do you want to do different for baseball in the state of Ohio, for high school baseball?
Well, the first thing that I would do is Jerry Snodgrass, our former OHSA commissioner, who was the best OHSA commissioner in my lifetime of high school sports, 35 years, is he got rid of the 10-day rule in high school, and now they've put it back in, the 10-day rule, where you can only coach 10 days. And my belief is, we're all volunteering our time as coaches. So why would I've never heard of a profession that you're donating your time and say you can only donate 10 days out of your summer to help kids. That's just makes no sense. If a guy wants to go out and help kids every day of the summer, what other sport it is, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? That would be one thing. And then the second thing from the baseball standpoint is move the season back. And
we got 1 week back, but you want to go another.
We did get 1 week. Yeah, I would even go back and just not even have summer baseball and start in April and just play through July and not have your summer. But that will never happen because of the money in travel ball, all the thousands of dollars that people are making off travel ball. That will never happen. So the 1 week did help with baseball. But, playing in weather like this, I really feel bad for colleges, especially the small colleges. Their season literally ends here in about 2 weeks. Like 2 to 3 weeks, small college baseball will be over before the weather even gets nice. So at least in high school, we'll get in the month of May. It's pretty nice. And into June if you can make it run. But those are two things I would change from the baseball standpoint.
So through your years, you've seen the boom of travel baseball. Mm-hmm. Talk about from a Defiance perspective. You're a high school baseball coach. How do you guys make it work? What's the perfect marriage in your opinion?
Well, I'm definitely not opposed to travel. When it originally started, it was for elite players, the elite, which is great. Like the elite player that's really good, let him go. Let him go and get out and play against great competition. You're going to be seen more, no doubt about it. But that's a very small percent. And like I said, Northwest Ohio baseball is really good. And so I'm still saying that's like less than 2 or 3% that are elite players, maybe 5% in Northwest Ohio that are really elite players that need to do that. But we've been able to make it work. We allow our guys that want to play. The only stipulation we've had is when the Acme tournament starts, they come back and play with their teammates. I think it's very important. And they have no problem with that. I mean, it's Chad Billingsley, John Neese, Dace Kyle, all those guys did that. They go out and play travel. They come back and play with their teammates in the month of July for the tournament. And that's worked out really well for us. And the precedent's set, so no one really fights it. And the travel ball teams know that Defiance, that's the way it's going to be at Defiance. And so it's worked out well for us. But and also another thing at Defiance, most of our guys are 2 and 3 sport athletes. So if they just take off in the summer and play baseball, they're not in the gym. They're not in the weight room. They're not with the football team. They're not with the basketball team, whatever team they're with. They're not with them. So it's worked out of the kids still staying in their community. You can still practice. There's still plenty of opportunities to get better. But those are probably things that worked out.
What role do analytics play at the high school level? We hear a lot at, obviously, in major league level. And there's a good marriage that can happen there. You don't want to be, I don't think, too overly analytic. You can have that marriage too. Where does it land in high school baseball?
Well, there's all different types of analytics. I've always been a big analytics guy, and analytics can be as simple as just stats, figuring out the numbers. And, you have now these stat programs that, whether it's iPad change or whatever, they'll break everything down that you see in the big leagues, what they're hit on a certain count or where their success rate hitting oppo or whatever. But analytics have become big, in Major League Baseball, and it's carried right over to the pitching of spin rate and the spin rate's been there. Guys have been able to do things with the baseball forever. I mean, Greg Maddux could make that ball move like crazy, and these guys before could do that. It's just measured now. So the only difference is they have computers that measure everything, which I think is good. The velocity has always been important to us. Now velocity has gotten so carried away, I think, because it's going to be interesting if it'll change pitching velocity, because now it used to be if you could throw 90, you can get drafted and play Division I baseball and get drafted. Now it's 95. You better throw 95. And so now, and there's the arms, there's so many arm injuries now. And the harder you throw, they used to be always say if you throw a curveball at a young age, you're going to hurt your arm. That is the biggest myth out there. You do not hurt your arm throwing a curveball. The harder you throw, the higher risk you are for an arm injury. But it's going to be interesting if it tails back, because there are so many guys that throw hard. But now, as you face that velocity every day, you better have some off speed. So it's I don't know. It's going to be interesting how that works.
You made a great point about Major League Baseball too, about how a lot of times it's almost feast or famine when you watch a major. They have an issue. They've got to make some. I don't know what the answer is there, but you can't have home runs and strikeouts and expect TV viewership to be up to watch Major League Baseball. Our generation will still probably watch, but the younger you get, they're not going to watch it anymore.
No, and I think that's the coolest thing right now with the Quan kid for Cleveland, is he's getting all kinds of press.
He didn't get on base today, though.
He struck out for his first time,
Yeah.
I think, and he swung and missed for the first time.
Yeah,
And
119 swings he had made contact every time.
Yeah, and so it's nice when that's getting some attention, because our young kids need to see that, how important it is to put the ball in play and not strike out. And it's not bad to strike out. It's not like it used to be. Like it used to be, you're growing up, the worst thing you could ever do in all of sports, strike out. Well, it's not a bad thing to strike out, but it's also so important to put the ball in play. Like Joey Votto's numbers the other day, if anybody wants to look, interesting numbers is Joey Votto. He had only popped up to the third baseman in the big leagues 3 times in his career. He'd only popped up to the first baseman twice in his career. He's been in the big leagues 15 years. His back control is so good. And Tim Kurkjian covers the game, and he's covering Votto. Votto was mic'd up at first base. Votto had never popped up to a pitcher in his entire major league career. And Kurkjian said, all I want to see on opening day is see Votto pop up to a pitcher, and he did for the first time ever.
That's
amazing.
Awesome. It is
amazing.
It really is. Hey, I can't let you get out of here. I have to give you an opportunity to do it personally because it's family, but I want to make sure I mention maybe one of our favorite. I know he's your favorite pitcher of all time. Dad just celebrated a birthday, Mel.
Yeah.
They don't make him any better than your dad.
93. It's kind of funny because on Twitter,
he can still run it up there. I'll bet he can get you to swing and miss.
Well, it was kind of funny that 3 or 4 years ago, Eden retired his jersey at Eden.
I was there. I did the MC for it. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
I did.
And he got out there, and we go, you don't have to stand on the mound. You can move up closer. He goes, oh, I can stand back here. He didn't quite get it. My brother Steve's out there. He was catcher, and he didn't quite get it. He goes, give me that darn thing again. Let me do it. I'll get it there this time. And he did.
I know he strikes Steve out right now, right? Yeah. He strikes him out right now.
Well, you can put it on a tee and strike him out.
Hey, so coming up, last thing here, schedule for, you mentioned Van Wert tomorrow, then the PBR. I mean, if we get some weather here, this is where that pitching depth comes in good for you guys, obviously, in playing every single day. And I want to also ask you about D2. It's always a bear of a district. Is it the same this year?
Yeah, it's going to be really good again. You can never. It's been so amazingly difficult. The team that's come out of our district for the last 15 years, I think there's only been maybe 3 times that team hasn't got to Columbus. So our district is really good. It's been stronger than the region. That doesn't mean it's going to be this year. It doesn't mean it's that way every year. But it's going to be really good again this year. And there's some good teams. And it's too early right now to know exactly who those teams are. But it's going to be a fantastic district.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate coming.
We'll see you, I say weather permitting, but you're on turf. We're going to play.
That's right.
Brian at Defiance, I think, in May. I'm coming over for that game. So
Excellent.
look forward to seeing that one.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, if I don't see you that night, I'll see you the last show next year again. It's a tradition now. I got some thank yous. Josh and Jody and everybody here, the whole crew here that host us from August until now. They do such a fabulous job. Thanks for letting us be here. We appreciate that. The guests that have come for a lot of Wednesdays, our sound engineer, Bob Doster. He hates getting his name on the air, right? But I got to make sure we give Bob some love because he does a terrific job for us every week. And as we said, our listeners and all of our guests all season long will return late August. I got some surprises maybe coming up. I've got some people working on some guests that maybe blow us away. And Mrs. Bob, also for just being a wingman, right? Tremendous wingman, absolutely. She's your assistant sound engineer as well. So we'll return in late August. Tomorrow it's North Central Eden, we hope, for varsity baseball. Sports Weekly all year brought to you by Terry Hendricks Ford, J.J. Wins, Amerimaid Realty, the Main Stops, and the Bryan Parks and Rec Department.